So we're only going to upload the 3 videos today. The 4th one is interesting, but I want to get back into playing some games, to be honest. Brutal. Leftie. Bill Maher gets destroyed by Dan Crenshaw. Someone call a paramedic. Bill Maher just got slaughtered on national TV. Poor Maher needed studio audience to bail him out. Instead, only silence. We do actually have the video, and we will be watching it because it's funny. Bill Maher wanted to suspend his show for a couple of months and blame the beer bug. If he's lucky, maybe Pelosi will get back to Washington and pass more funding for suffering businesses owners. On Friday, Bill Maher invited Dan Crenshaw on his show. The two discussed the pandemic, and Bill Maher got wrecked. It wasn't even a contest. It was more like WWE. I have not seen this video. I will be watching it with you guys. So, yeah, my reactions will be authentic. The far left darling got body slammed every time he tried to get up off the mat. Maher tried to blame the beer bug outbreak on the US at the feet of the president. Crenshaw wouldn't have it and continued to hurl facts after facts at Maher. It wasn't even a close brawl. Maher got destroyed. Get wrecked, Maher. Look, at the end of the day, I don't like Maher, but I'm less hostility to him than anybody else that's on the left because he does seem to be at woke at times. But anyway, the guy can count on the clapping seals of his audience to bail him out. And we do have the video right here. So, it goes for 6.5 minutes. We will be pausing to break it down. Yeah, let's jump into it. Is that Trump in the background, by the way?
Alex Azar, his Health and Human Services guy. January 18th, he warned him about this. And again on January 30th, Trump said he was being an alarmist. Peter Navarro, somebody else who talks to Trump a lot, told him directly January 29th, you got to get ahead of this. February 10th.
2 days later, he implemented a restrictive travel ban from China, which he was widely criticized for. That same day, on January 31st, Nancy Pelosi proposed the No Ban Act, which would be congressional limitation on what President Trump's actually able to do with that travel restriction.
Okay, but he lies about that. First of all, he didn't.
How does he lie?
That's actually true, by the way. So, Trump actually tried to ban travel from people coming into the US. We'll get to the asterisks that the left like to put on that in a minute. But, yeah, Trump tried to ban travel on the 31st of January, I think it was. And Nancy Pelosi stopped him, or tried to stop him, and tried to institute a order to basically make Trump's travel bans null and void. Mind you, this is the same Nancy Pelosi that was telling everybody they're being racist and that they need to go down to Chinatown and hug a Chinese kid or a Chinese person during the heart of a pandemic. So it's always funny how the left want to point out Trump's inadequacies, but they won't do it to themselves. Like, you want to blame Trump for being slow off the ball? Look, to be honest, I think Trump did the right thing. Look, could he have made some differences? Sure. But I think Trump kept it cool, calm, and collected. He downplayed it because at the end of the day, he didn't want people panicking. It's his job to do that. And I'm going to steal an analogy from Tim Pool in a minute, but let's keep going with this.
About it. What do you mean?
He said he stopped people coming in from China. He did not. He said he was ahead of it. 43 countries did it before we did. There are still people coming in from China. He only stopped foreign nationals.
Yeah, okay, let me address that, because I know that's what people are saying right now. But the reality is, it was about 40,000 people came in after that. These were U.S. citizens and green card holders and passport holders being repatriated. U.S. citizens. So you have to make the argument then that we shouldn't allow them in. I mean, it sounds to me like you're fully agreeing with President Trump on this when everybody else disagreed with them. And if you're saying that you wish that travel restriction had been more extreme, Okay, fine. I mean, you apparently had the foresight back then, but when nobody else did. But the fact is, you know, if Joe Biden was in charge at that moment, he's already said he wouldn't have done it. He criticized it at the time. Nancy Pelosi actually proposed legislation to stop it.
Okay,
so,
but people
you know,
are. But,
And this was Bill Maher getting absolutely slaughtered on national TV. He's right. He's exactly right. Dan Crenshaw is right about this. Nancy Pelosi did try and stop it. Trump was the one that imposed a travel ban. And they called him, everybody in the media called him a racist. Everybody in the media called him xenophobic because of this ban. They all hated him for it. And now they're turning around saying, but he wasn't that. But you, at the time, you didn't even want him to do what he did. At the time, you were calling him racist and xenophobic for doing it. And now your argument after hindsight is, oh, well, you know, hey, we should have done more. Okay, but where were you back in January? Oh, that's right. You were there sitting there criticizing Trump for doing this. You're criticizing him for doing what he did, let alone making him go further. But anyway.
people are still coming in from China. It wasn't just foreign nationals, but let's get off that. Let me just go back to...
Let's get off that. The favourite thing the left like to say when they're losing the debate.
The timeline for a minute. February 10th, after these warnings, he says it's going to go away in April with the heat because he had a hunch. February...
I just want to say, we're in April now and it's going away. Has anyone else noticed the date right now? 20th of April. New York has had negative death count for 4 or 5 days now. Literally halfway through the month, they flattened the curve. Now, you want to say it's the heat? Do you want to turn around and say it's the isolation? We don't know yet, right? We'll have to look into it. But when he turned around and said it's going to go away in April because of the heat, I'm sorry, I haven't seen anything at the moment that's contradicted that. Generally, flus aren't around during the hot months. Generally, flus are in the colder months. Yeah, it's the way viruses, bacteria, and all that sort of stuff work.
25th, he goes to India. This is 4 days after the White House Coronavirus Task Force said we're going to have to lock down the country, and Dr. Nancy Messonnier, who's in charge of the Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. Wait a second, let me just finish. She announced this on the 26th. On the 25th, that we're going to have to lock down the country. He said the next day, 15 people have it, and it's soon going to be close to zero. March 6th, he said anyone who wants a test can get it, which is still completely...
Let me stick to February.
Completely
As
wrong.
you go forward, because you mentioned February 25th. The day before, February 24th, that's when the administration requested $2.5 billion from Congress to fulfill CDC, NIH, and FDA funding to combat the virus and the potential spread of it. What happened right then? I'll tell you because I was in Congress, but I know what happened. Did we vote on a supplemental funding bill? No. Did we wait days to vote? No, still didn't vote on it. You know what we voted on later that week? Nancy Pelosi, the only thing she would put on the floor to vote on was a bill to ban flavored tobacco. That's what actually happened. It was only a week later that we actually voted on supplemental funding that the administration requested. Your criticism appears to be based in one thing, that Trump was overly optimistic. That's his style. Again, you can criticize it. That's fine. But it's not connected to the actions that were actually taken. Because if I back up even further, February 14th, CDC announces ongoing work with 5 laboratories to perform community-based influenza surveillance and study the spread of the virus. We're in a fact-finding mode in February. People forget this. People keep calling February this lost month. But it's really not. That's an easy and cheap accusation because there's no big, bold moves taken like there was in January or like there was in March. But the reality is our government was working to create that test. Did they work as fast as we would have liked? And of course not. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which I'm happy to go into. By March 3rd, there was only 102 cases in the United States. And yet I'm hearing criticism that we should have been locked down weeks earlier. But would you think the American people would have accepted that with only 100 cases in the United States? Italy didn't lock down until March 10th. Spain, not until March 14th. UK, not until later in March. Places like Sweden's never locked down. And so I provide all of that context as we try to basically accuse this man of well, he's being accused of having blood on his hands. And
Bill Maher is, and look, I don't want to rail on Bill Maher here because I don't think he has bad intentions. I think Bill Maher is just reading CNN a lot. I think Bill Maher is reading MSNBC a lot. I don't think he's reading both sides of politics. Look, I hate watching CNN, but I do it. I do it so you don't have to. But I encourage everybody to watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, watch them all. And get a fair and unbiased opinion. Because the right will stick up for the right. The left will stick up for the left. And the truth is somewhere in the middle. And I think at the end of the day, Bill Maher has forgotten that. I think at the end of the day, Bill Maher is sitting there thinking, like, he's got all this information. He's got all this ammo against Trump. Okay. But you're missing half of it. Like, he went on and he talked about February. But there was stuff that he didn't even know about. Because CNN, MSNBC, whatever it may be, wouldn't have covered it. And that's the thing. You're trying to debate someone who was literally in Congress about what Congress was doing. This is... The whole pretense for this video is off. For a start, Dan Crenshaw has got to come on real time with Bill Maher and defend Trump. Why? Why does Dan Crenshaw have to come on and defend Trump? What, because they're the same party? Okay. Bill Maher, looking forward to next week's episode where you bring on someone to defend Joe Biden and the allegations against him. I'll tell you what, why don't you bring on Nancy Pelosi and ask her about her allegations against Joe Biden? You could, but you won't. You won't do that because you're a partisan hack. You're only taking notice of one side of politics. And like I say, I don't want to rail on him too hard. I think Bill is a lot more woke than people realize. But I think he's seeing the problems with the left and he's sitting there thinking, you're going crazy. In fact, I want to actually see if I can find this. There is an interview the other month that happened with Roseanne Barr and Bill Maher. Maybe it's that one. No, hang on here. Maybe this one, actually.
Candy.
Yeah, I think this is it here. I gotta watch this. Because Roseanne Barr says something, and Bill sort of realizes that she's right.
What happened to the rest of our candy?
Funny story. Our insurance don't cover what it used to, so I got half the drugs for twice the price.
What are we supposed to do?
Well, tradesies. I'll trade you 5 of my statins for 5 of your anti-inflammatories, and I'll sweeten the pot by throwing in a couple of blood pressures.
Did you get the pain pills for my bad knee?
Wouldn't be the Candyman without the sunshine, babe.
There it is. It's the real house. It's still there.
Right, now. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Right, now.
For the set.
A 2-week break.
During that, I do.
Trump totally stole my
He
ass.
stole that from
Totally.
you.
You know and the stuff? It's okay. Florida. Came in.
Two of those states legalized marijuana for.
So that's not the one I wanted, sorry.
Well, actually, tonight it's not a new rule at all. It's an open letter to a dear friend of mine. It was material, but piece of the Trump supporter. As your friend, Rosie, all of my ideas are based in socialism. How does that intersect with Trump? Unable to live on that, they should go.
He's still got the Trump derangement syndrome. Let me see if I can find it. Anyway, but the thing I'm talking about, right, is she's on there with Bill Maher, and she said that you've all gone too far to the left. No, I can't find it. All right. But anyway, but yeah, so she goes through and she's on the show, and Bill Maher says, when did you become a Trump supporter? When did you sort of jump to the other side? And I'm sort of paraphrasing here a little bit. Anyway, she turns around and she says, I didn't move. You guys all went further left. And she's indicated that they've gone so far left that they've gone off the rails. And she's like, I haven't changed my opinions. You've all just gone too far left and you've left everybody behind. It was along those lines is what she said. Bill Maher actually agrees with her and says, you're probably right. And I think that's when he sort of started to realize that at the end of the day, she's right. At the end of the day, the left have gone too far to the left. So like I say, I don't want to rail on Bill Maher too much. But let's keep going.
Context is so important here.
Well, it is. And also, it's not just about being optimistic. It's about being right. The world was aware of this. And since when does America take its lead from Italy and Spain?
Well, because those are where the outbreaks were happening.
I understand.
Right? Well, I'm pointing it out again for context.
But
if we're going to criticize somebody's actions, we have to do it in the context of the facts they knew at the time. And so I'm just trying to be fair here. That I don't really care about defending him or his actions. I just care about letting people know the truth. And when people make these accusations, I have to ask them a question. Is the goal to make Trump look bad, or is the goal to get to the truth? Because there's two different sets of answers for that.
Okay, but sometimes they converge. Sometimes the truth is that somebody who says, I have a hunch,
they converge.
I have a hunch this is going to go away. Is that someone you would want to have served with? I mean, my God, I don't understand, why someone with your resume, you were in Fallujah, for God's sakes. Would you want someone, a commander, to say that to you, to blame everybody else if something goes wrong, and then to say, I have a hunch the enemy's not going to be in there. Let's attack.
Sure, no, I understand that. So here's how I would describe my answer to that. When bullets are flying past my head, I don't need to raise my voice. And I write about this in my book too. Calm breeds calm, panic breeds panic. Being an optimistic, and exuding positivity and calmness in crisis is exactly how we ask our SEALs to lead. Now, I'm not sure I see a lot of evidence for blaming others, maybe blaming China, although there's a lot of evidence for that. So maybe that's a good place to lay blame. But I
did it last
Trump
week.
Blaming, Democrats here, or he's exposing hypocrisy, and maybe we're confusing that with blame. But no, I mean, again, calm breeds calm, and that's how we would lead in the SEAL teams.
Okay.
Now, I actually want to expand on that, and this is something that Tim Pool's actually said. They're trying to relate Trump to this Navy commander, right? Bill Maher's experience, or Bill Maher's example was, you're going into combat and you got a commander telling you that it's going to be fine. The enemy won't be there. Feel free to go in. It's not exactly what happens. Right? In this situation, the frontline troops is the NHS. The frontline troops are the nurses, the ambos, the people from the CDC, the people from the WHO, the ones that are, well, not the WHO because they didn't really investigate shit, but the ones that are on the front lines that are dealing with this pandemic, they're the people that are currently having to go to work when the rest of the world is literally staying at home. They're the ones that have these crucial jobs. They're the ambulances, they're the nurses, they're the doctors. They're the people that are on the front line. In Bill Maher's example, Trump is saying to the wives of the men, of the army guys, right? So in Bill Maher's example, the army guys that are running into battle, that's the NHS. They're the ones that have got their body armor, quarantine suits, and they've got their weapons of war, antibiotics, and they're the ones that are attacking the enemy, beer buck. The ones that Trump is saying to calm down, the ones that Trump is downplaying, and not really downplaying, but keeping it cool, calm, and collected, in Bill Maher's example, would be the families of the people that are going into battle. They would be the families of the vets, not the SEALs themselves. The SEALs, the army vets, they're the doctors, they're the NHS. When Trump is saying to everybody he's being positive, he's being optimistic, he is saying that to America, not to the NHS. He is saying that to the friends and the families. And I can tell you now, 100% guaranteed, without a shadow of a doubt, when you have a family member going into a conflict zone, the army, at least in Australia, tells you exactly what Trump did. They said, it's gonna be fine. They will say to you, he will be okay. He is trained for this. They will tell you that your brother or your son or your daughter or whoever it may be will be fine. This is what they trained for. This is what they do. That is who Trump is talking to when he says about everything is going to be okay. It's going to be fine, everybody. This bug, it'll be dying down by April, which, by the way, he was right. It's dying down by April. He is there to be optimistic. He is there to calm and reassure people. He is the goddamn leader of the United States of America. His job is to be cool, calm, and collected. And I tell you now, I did not get this back in September 11. When those planes hit the trade towers, my reaction back then was, why is Bush sitting around reading a book to kids? And I criticized Bush for doing it back then. And it wasn't until my brother, who is ex-army, informed me exactly the same thing that I'm telling you guys now. That when you go into battle, you don't want to panic. When you go into battle, you want to be cool, calm, collected. Muscle memory. Rely on what you know. Stay focused. The person that panics gets killed, as my brother would say. Trump did the right thing. Trump's job is to sit there and to say to people, we have this lit. Don't worry about it. Take a month off work, chillax, we'll send you a stimulus package, we'll pay you, or whatever, and we will get this problem solved. Why? Because we're the goddamn United States of America. That is his job. And people like Bill Maher don't want to get it. Because if they do, they have to give him credit. And they can't do that. Because Orange Man Bad is universal for everything. Everything Trump does is bad. For example, Trump putting in travel restrictions, bad. Now, Trump didn't do them tough enough. Trump should have been harder. You're kidding, right? Because it was your side who was trying to stop him from being able to bring them in the first place. So I'm sorry, Bill Maher. Rest in peace. You literally just been slaughtered on national TV by a Republican, which, to be honest, has got to hurt you more than anything. And the whole time during this, Bill Maher is just stuttering. Where he's looking down at his notes. Where's my notes? What? And you just watch it here.
By March 3rd, there was States.
Let's just pick a point.
With only
wait for Bill Maher to come up.
As we try to
right?
basically accuse this man of well, he's being accused of having blood on his hands, and context is so important here.
Well, it is, and also
like he's like, well, yeah. Let's go back to here.
I was in Congress, but I know what happened. Did we vote on a bill for 24th? That's when the administration.
March 6th, he said anyone who wants a test can get it, which is still completely.
Let me stick to February.
Completely
as
wrong.
You go forward, because you mentioned February 25th. The day before, February 24th, that's when the administration requested $2.5 billion from Congress to fulfill, CDC, NIH, and FDA funding to combat the virus and the potential spread of it. What happened right then? I'll tell you because I was in Congress, but I know what happened. Did we vote on a supplemental funding bill? No. Did we wait days to vote? No, still didn't vote on it. You know what we voted on later that week? Nancy Pelosi, the only thing she would put on the floor to vote on was a bill to ban flavored tobacco. That's what actually happened. It was only a week later that we actually voted on supplemental funding.
Just waiting for it to come up.
The administration requested. Your criticism appears to be based in one thing, that Trump was overly optimistic. That's his style. Again, you can criticize it. That's fine. But it's not connected to the actions that were actually taken. Because if I back up even further,
like he's like, well, yeah, like here, let's go back to here.
If Joe Biden was in charge, you apparently had everybody else disagreed with them. The argument then that we shouldn't allow them in. I mean, it sounds to me like you're fully agreeing with President Trump on this when everybody else disagreed with them. And if you're saying that you wish that travel restriction had been more extreme, okay, fine. I mean, you apparently had the foresight back then, but when nobody else did. But the fact is, if Joe Biden was in charge at that moment, he's already said he wouldn't have done it. He criticized it at the time. Nancy Pelosi actually proposed legislation to stop it.
He's stammering. He's like, and then sure, look, Dan's obviously speaking and he's trying to get a word in. Sure. But he's rocking in his chair. I'd love for the body language channel to go through this video. I'll tweet it at her later and see if she wants to do it. But like I say, yeah, like he's coming off as like really uncomfortable here. He's realized that Dan has him over a barrel. And Bill Maher is like looking around, he's looking for an exit, like, well, what's out? Like he's spinning around in his chair. He knows that Dan has basically just slaughtered him on national TV. And I don't mean that as like a threat or anything like that, so don't take it that way, guys. It's just like a figure of speech. But yeah, I'll message the body language channel later and see if she wants to go through and do this video, because it's actually a really interesting video, and I'd love to see her take on it. And maybe if we do, we'll be able to I'll talk about it when she does it or something. I don't know. I'll talk to her. Apart from that, guys, obviously the video's been helpful. Please smack that like button if you're new to the channel. Welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, obviously this video's been helpful. I'll see you guys in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. do you guys think this is Bill Maher getting absolutely filleted on TV? I don't see any way. This comes across as Bill Maher doing a decent job, and sadly, I think his radio or his network is going to have a chat to him about this. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And Bill Maher, look, if you see this for some reason, dude, I don't mean anything by it. I really wish you would worry about getting news from multiple sources, left and right, not just one or the other. Apart from that, guys, I hope this video has been helpful. Smack that like if you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night and enjoy.